Hey Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Imagine going back in time and rating the video games based on everything else that's available out there. Is that game as good as you remember? Let's press forward and see what our next game is. Welcome to July of 1982. We last played Marauder on the Atari 2600. Let's see what's next. We're still on the Atari 2600. Next is Math Grand Prix. We saw a preview of this in Atari Age. I'm not super excited for this one. This one is not like Grand Prix like we saw last episode by Activision. It's essentially a completely different game, more like a board game. I'll show you what the box looks like because this is another insanely artist work done on the front of the box, but it's just a terrible game. You obviously spend a lot of time on the front making it look cool, but it's essentially an educational title for early childhood. Math Grand Prix, all we're going to show you is this little snippet over on the left side, so that's what you get. It's essentially a board game where you're moving around solving math equations and you can select between multiplication, division, addition, but it's an extremely slow affair. You just decide how many spaces you want to move, and if you solve the equation correctly, you move that many spaces. It is numbingly boring. It reminds me of systems we played around 1977. Not something we would expect from 1982. So of all the games you could play at the time, it's borderline in the broken range. I'm sure plenty of youths had some fun with it, but Math Grand Prix is a terrible game considering everything else you could play on a home console right now. That's right. Board and board, both kinds. Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. This is another example of Atari sending the shovelware or beginning to push more shovelware out there. Math Grand Prix, they were heavily marketing and advertising it, but it is not a good time. So there's 1 star, Math Grand Prix. That's all you get. And with that, let's see what our next game is. On the other end of the spectrum, though, the Atari home computer is shining so much. This is Mega Legs. Let's take a look at Mega Legs, starting with the box. Not the video, the box. There it is. Fast action, kill the attacking creatures for the Atari 400 and 800 by Dubno. Way to go, Dubno. This was available both on cassette and disc. Nice, colorful artwork. It's obviously got to be Centipede, right? Even though it's called Mega Legs. Let's flip it over on the back. I just saw 1 star is too generous. Well, it's technically not broke. It does kind of work. It's right in between a game that really doesn't even work at all to something that plays. But yeah, it's bad. Yes, it does. I'm with you. There's the point scores for us. Very nice. Animation using Mega Graphics. Not familiar with Mega Graphics. Must be some marketing mumbo-jumbo. Looks like we need 16K for this one. Let's see the other artwork we have for Mega Legs. Besides the box, there's also the screenshot example. And we have the manual. Tell us all about Mega Legs. Looks like we're going to need only 1 joystick, 1 player required. How to load tape or disc. The game starts by pressing the start button on your computer or pressing the fire button. You're given 3 lives, a free life every 10,000 points. The player's motion is controlled by the joystick. Wow, they're explaining this to a numbskull. We've heard how to play video games for so long. The object is to stay alive and collect the greatest amount of points by killing off the attacking creatures. The speed and difficulty increases as the game progresses. I haven't heard that one before. Then use the option on the computer console to pause the game. What? The option key? That's bizarre. I don't think we've seen that on Atari home computer yet. If you want to pause, hit the option key. And then there's our point values. Pretty fairly simple. For other versions, we have just an alternate one. Let's pop in and play Mega Legs by Mike Dubno. The beginning of July 1982, published by Megasoft. Megasoft made Mega Legs. Yes, let's go. Got a nice little intro. A caterpillar is going across the screen. And we can just go pushing the button, right? Yeah, oh yeah, fire and go. Look at this, and we are in. This is the largest looking game we've played that's a Centipede variant. And we played lots of ones on lower resolution on the Commodore VIC-20. But here on the Atari 800... this one feels really good, programmed really well. We've already seen the official version of Centipede by Atari, and I'll be hard-pressed to say, I mean, look at this, they're even changing the colors in the background. Sound effects are spot on. The only thing I could say is as a gripe is it's only one player, but even then, the official Atari version of Centipede was multiplayer. It was 2-player alternate, so you still had only one person at a time. You weren't able to join in together to kill the Centipede. Or Mega Legs, as we're destroying right now. Looks like squids are coming down from the top instead of fleas. But yeah, we got the screen transition. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it looks like they got all the elements of Centipede right here. Bright, colorful, plays well. Yep, and they have the ending death. Nice. Oh yeah, very, very well done. Cool, yeah, looks really good. Definitely does not need to be shot into space. Let's keep this one. In fact, I would say it is a clone, and we've seen other Centipede variants. This is a very well done clone. If you didn't buy the official Centipede, this is pretty much the same thing. You don't have all the story and lore in the manual, though, that Atari did. That's true. The spider is a bit small, but movement and control feels really, really good. The only way they could have made this better, the same with the official version, is make it paddle controlled instead of joystick. But even still, it feels really good. Yeah, I'm going to say the same. Just like the official version, 4 stars, I'm thinking 4 stars for this one as well. Look at that. Plays really good. I love how the score table counts like that. Almost like it's a pinball cabinet. Oh yeah. Looks and plays great. There's Mega Legs. I wasn't expecting one so good. We're going to say of all the games you could play on a home computer, 4 stars for Mega Legs. Well done. That's true. You would need the 2 paddles. You can daisy chain them, I believe, on the Atari, which is kind of nice. Yeah, oh, that's right. Well, you need the 2 to go vertical. Yeah, so it would be a little tricky. Not the same as the trackball. If only we had a trackball at home. All right, so that's Mega Legs. After Mega Legs, let's see what's next. Now it's time to go to the Commodore VIC-20, the star of the evening, and this is Meteor Run. Let's take a look at Meteor Run, starting with the artwork. This is the box, which is so sci-fi. It is a mixture between asteroids, and I can't put my finger on where I've seen that ship before. Doesn't look like anything from most popular shows or movies. We're getting the movies to come in, too. And then there's the ad you would have seen at the time. It's all over the place. It's got a few games: Cloudburst, Meteor Run, Renaissance, Spiders of Mars, Satellites, and Meteorites. And these are all by UMI. We've seen Cloudburst, Meteor, and we've seen most of these already on the show. Renaissance, and they're combining them all together into one ad. Nice touch. All this by Audiogenic. Yeah, I'm with you, Ariel. It does. The official one actually had smaller pictures of the mushrooms on the screen. So yeah, it's really nice. All right, and for other versions, we have the version on cart and the version on disc. So we're going to pop in first the cart version of Meteor Run. This is by Audiogenic. Roger L. Merritt did the development. Way to go, Roger. Published by UMI in the beginning of July 1982. And any key to start, we're in. So Meteor Run looks like a Defender clone, except I cannot turn the ship back and forth. I can use the joystick to control, and they're giving off the pseudo impression that we're scrolling, but we're really not. They're also giving off the pseudo impression that we have a radar at the top. It is the tiniest radar of all the radars we've seen on the screen, and I don't think it's a real radar. Is it real? Okay, no, it showed an enemy blowing away, and it looks like 2 are coming down here. Okay, yeah, so it is allowing enemies to come in, but I am not moving the scroll. If I move left or right, it just, I'm staying in the one spot. So it is making you feel like you're scrolling, or if you saw screenshots of this, it would make you think it's going to scroll to the side like Defender, but it is not. So it's a lie. Meteor Run is lying to us. And are we already game over? All right, so also notice the meteors aren't really doing too much, at least on the cartridge version. So I had saved the other one as well, just in case. This is the disc version that you need 8K expanded on your Commodore VIC-20 to play. And it's essentially the same game, but with a few differences. Notice the title screen slightly different. It is still joystick controlled, but look, we have meteors firing off, and now I'm only facing the left side. So, interesting choice. The cartridge version, you're facing to the right. The disc version, you're facing to the left. Very strange. But the radar at the top really doesn't tell too much because it's so small. And it makes you feel like you might be playing Defender, but it's just, this is truly the poor man's version of Defender. There is no rescuing. It makes you think you're scrolling to the side, but you're not. It makes you think you're using a radar, but you're really not using the radar. It's not helpful. And for other Defender games we played on a home computer, there's much better ones out there. At least this one's working a lot better with the asteroids on this version of it. Yeah, so I'd say it's not really the best game you could play at the time because of the... I'd just say because of the lies. It makes you think it's something that's going to be a title or that's going to be able to follow through with Defender, but it does not. Yes, the siren. At this point, though, I'm still thankful for any sounds we can get because we still are seeing releases of games that have no sound. Nothing is there. All right, so Victor's going out 2.5. I see Ariel with 3 stars. As far as all the games you could play on a home computer, there's better versions of shooters out here. This one has hit detection problems. This one is just not done as well as other ones we've seen. I'm going to go even lower and say Meteor Run is a 2-star game. And we even played the 2 versions that I could find, and it's still, I would say it's bad. It's a bad game, but it is the best of the bad. 2 stars for Meteor Run. I got to go even lower. And with that, let's see our next game. Next on the Commodore VIC-20 is Missile Panic. This is one that we're going to the United Kingdom for. We have no box or artwork, just a few screenshots. Let's pop in and play Missile Panic by Titan Programs at the beginning of July 1982. Missile Panic is a unique game. Ready? Push any key. This is keyboard controlled only. If I want to move up and down, I have to use the P and period key. And if I want to move left and right, it's A and D. So I am controlling what looks like the invader from Space Invaders. I think this is the very first time we've ever controlled anything that looks remotely close to that. And the way this game works is the missile is a homing missile. It is following us and going to find us. We have to make our objective all the way up here to the X, touch the X, and now the missile speeds up. And we have to work our way away from it. I'm going to actually go to the top. The game is played all on this screen. There is no difference in the maze. There is no difference in what you see here. It's all the same every single time. And the homing missile looked like it did a terrible job following me. But the whole idea is find the X, and then keep going, finding the next X, repeat, until you can't stop. Until the missile goes so fast, you cannot escape from it. Let's see which way it goes. All right, this time I'm going to go down because I know it's going to loop around there. There you go. Now try to come get me, buddy. And you see faster and faster. It's not the smartest missile, but this kind of, let's do a top-down maze and have something chase you like this. There's only one other title I can think of that's done this, but this is still kind of clunky because it's keyboard controls only. You don't have any joystick option, and it's not super smooth, but it's an interesting idea. The corners are really tight, too. It's not the easiest to go around the corners. Doing better now, but look at this. It gets so intense. Oh, I'm already seeing... Yeah, I definitely agree. This is way worse than we saw before. Blow it up. Press any key to continue. And that's the whole thing. That's the entire game. So what you saw there is it. It's, I guess, the tenseness. The best part of it is the tenseness of the missiles going faster and faster. But it's still a simple affair. Of all the games you could play at the time, I'm still going to say it's bad. 1.5 stars for Missile Panic. Yeah, it's definitely lower than it was before. There we go. Yeah, Curtis, as you can see, 1.5 or 2. And yeah, I believe you. It's worse than the last one. If only we were comparing everything on the Commodore VIC-20, then it'd be even easier. And with that, let's see our next game. Still on the Commodore VIC-20, this is Muncher. You ready for some nightmare fuel? There you go. Muncher. Oh my gosh. That is a fabrication of what box art on the computer usually looks like. Scary as hell. can see we can use with or without the joystick to play Muncher. I don't want to see that picture ever again. And there is no other artwork besides that. Let's pop in Muncher and play. This is by Ray Mitchell. Way to go, Ray. Published by the Wizards Magic Toy Box in the beginning of July 1982. So Muncher is almost going even lower on the spectrum. You can use keyboard or joystick, which is a plus because the last one we couldn't play on. But yes, it does. Nice touch, Curtis. I love it. All right, let's push F1 to go in. Memorize those point scores if you need to. Oh, and I broke the game already. See, you push the wrong key and it just crashes. If you hit the wrong one, it will break. It's not as bad as the ZX81, but the VIC-20 is the same way. If you push the wrong one, the game's just going to crash. Okay, so F1 to start. Don't hit anything else. Okay, so this one is a fixed shooter affair. I'm moving left and right, and the Muncher is that white object that's coming down from the top. The Muncher's trying to get to the honey that's in the center of the screen. So I am a bee that's shooting up to the top. Every time the Muncher lands on the ground, it takes a chunk out of it, which is just one of the squares. But if it happens to get to the honey, then it's all over. That's it. It's game over. This game is terrible. This one controls terribly. Even for a game that's programmed tile-based like this, we've seen better tile-based programs. This one has horrible hit detection. Sometimes it feels like I'm not moving the player correctly on the screen. The gameplay itself is just to move left and right, firing at something coming at you, and it's just inevitable misery. So it is ridiculously bad. There's not even very big redeeming qualities to the game, aside from the color. And they did make this look a little bit like Centipede. So they're trying to... You can see the mushroom look and the colors, but it's obviously not the same and plays the same. I can only move left and right, too. I don't have the freedom to move around like in Centipede. Muncher is painful. It's just painful. Yes, this is basic. We've even seen basic better than this one. I'm waiting for them to destroy the honey. This is the longest it's ever taken Muncher to actually kill me. There he is. He ate the honey and game over. And we are totally over with that. So there you go. That's Muncher. Of all the games you could play, I'm going even lower. Muncher is even worse. 1 star of all the games you could play on a home computer. Scary, very scary. And I don't want to see the box ever again. I might even lower the rating because of the front of the box. It does look like Cookie Monster had a uncle that he didn't want to talk about. All right, let's see what our next game is. We're in the United Kingdom playing on the ZX Spectrum. This is Othello. Othello. Remember Othello? I think we've already seen Othello on the ZX Spectrum. Here's the other one. This one doesn't have any box, just a few screenshots. Let's pop it and play Othello by Richard Francis Altwasser, the beginning of July 1982. As it boots up, just a reminder, we've played, I think, 20 to 30 variations of Othello or Reversi, and that is not the end. It's kind of like chess. It will never escape us. We will always have Othello with us. And the game just goes right into it. Spectrum begins, they get to go first every single time for some reason, but they do their move, and then you're going to be controlling this with the cursor keys on your keyboard, your spongy chiclet ZX Spectrum keyboard. That's true. Maybe the crash, we should have kept it at the crash and then rated it that way. Okay, so this is kind of cool. Instead of having to type in a quadrant or a row or a number, here's what you need. You need to know the cursor keys. 5, 6, 7, 8 are the arrow keys, and those will move the cursor that you see, or the arrows you see on the board. And then when you're ready to make your move, you just hit 0. So watch, you just move over to the side. If I want to make my blue piece here, I just go there, push 0. I made my move, it calculates. So interface-wise, pretty cool for the ZX Spectrum. That's the way to do it. Typing in the quadrants is not so cool. But still, I'd be hard-pressed to find a better version of Othello than what we saw on the Atari VCS. At least if you think of all the Othellos out there. There's been other ones on the home computer that have an interface. The Atari home computers do. Really nice ones. All right, so let's go right here. I'll take those 2. This does not have a 2-player mode. You have to play against the computer only. So only against your Spectrum. Your Spectrum is your best friend here. And you can see how long it takes for the turn to have its... It thought about it. It's done its move. There you go. It has this countdown or count up sound effect on it. I think, again, they're just trying to throw something out there so they can make sound on the ZX Spectrum. So let's go there, take some more. I think maybe it's possible they were only going for eye damage. The other thing, too, is they just wanted to go for any color. So they're going to do whatever pops. I mean, look at this. It's the primary colors. Yellow, red, blue. Make it as bright as possible. So there you go. A quick taste of Othello, or another version of it. I got to admit, though, using the arrow keys on the row and column for Othello is a really good touch for the ZX Spectrum. Of all the games you could play on the ZX Spectrum, and this is the best Othello you could play right now on the ZX Spectrum, bar none. But we got more computers out there besides the ZX Spectrum. Of all the games you could play at this point, too, would you want to play Othello, or would you want to play all the other games we've seen? I wouldn't think so. So for Othello, it still is a fairly average game of all the games you could play at this point. So I'll say 3 stars for Othello. It works well. It is the board game. If you have a hankering for Othello and you got a ZX Spectrum, this is the one to go, especially in 1982. All right, now let's go on to our next game. We're now on the Apple II, and this is Pigpen. Let's take a look at Pigpen, starting with the box. I actually thought this was the advertising flyer, but every source tells me this is the front of the box. They got the price on it with either the Apple II or the IBM PC version. I could not find any IBM PC version anywhere. If it is out there, I know it was released, but the only one we have to play is the Apple II version. This is by Datamost. Watch out, the oinks are loose in the Pigpen. Here's the newest, cleverest switch in maze games. You run the maze leaving dots behind. Choose your opponents from 1 to 8. You'll have to fight if cornered, but you'll be slaughtered on the pig's tusks until you can find and use the pulsing, potent pig pills. You'll be a pig fanatic from the first game. Wait, what first game? Oh, this game? You'll be a pig fanatic? Sure. Let's flip it over in the back, and Datamost has nothing. It's pretty boring. That's probably why I have glasses. I actually wear contacts, and that might be the reason why. Games like this. Thank you so much, video games. It does look like Pigman. Let's see the other artwork we got. Freaky pigs. Those are some hogs. Here's some ads you would have seen at the time. You can choose the number of nasty oinks to tackle, play through 4 levels, and scarf those delicious corn cobs for bonus points. Instead of eating up dots, you'll leave dots behind. That's right, they're advertising that it's reverse Pac-Man, like it's a new craze. I think we've already seen 3 reverse Pac-Man games. So it is fresh, but I mean, it's still just a maze game. It's Pac-Man. And if you did have it on an IBM PC, this is the reference card you'd have inside. It shows you the default keys, information about how to load the game, and I believe it has, it gives you a few more options than the Apple II version. The first one that ever came out was on Apple II, and then later it was for IBM. If you have the IBM PC version, let me know, because we don't have it. It's nowhere. Also, the registration card. And the disc, if you pop in the 5 1/4 floppy disk, and if you had it on IBM, this is what the disc would look like. Very fancy, Datamost. With an example of the screenshot, we also have the inside sleeve, tells you about how the game works out. You wake up in a strange maze. Where are you? What are those strange sounds you hear down the hallways? What are those swifty moving shapes dashing about? Suddenly you grasp the truth. You're in the famous Pigpen, and the oinks are loose. The fierce wild pigs are searching for you. What can you do? You have to run, leaving behind a trail of dots to show your path. What? Why? You have to fight if cornered, but you'll be slaughtered in the pig's tusk until you can finally use the pulsing, potent pig pills. If you can cover the maze completely, you can escape to the next rack. That's right, the story makes no sense, as they usually do. Yes, there's so much black mold we've seen. That's just what happens. Maybe as we progress through time, we'll see less and less mold. As you start the game, you have the opportunity to make certain choices, like 1 to 8, how many pigs are going to be on the board, and if you want to use the keyboard or the joystick. And then it tells you the high score for the current game are displayed on the screen. You can freeze the action of the game at any point pressing escape. When you're ready to continue, the pigs are fully bodied. They can kill you. When you swallow a potent pig pill, they change to pig faces. You are energized and can knock them out. It's essentially the power pellet from Pac-Man. And when you're ready, select your keys, and you can pig out on the fun. Don't know how this would be marketed very well, because Pac-Man is adorable, cute, and lovable. Pigs, not really. Especially look at the box. They're not really pigs. They look more like boars. Let's pop in and play Pigpen by TMQ Software, published by Datamost at the beginning of July 1982. Bring on more black mold, I say. Oh, that's right. We were going to see more yellowing of consoles. Good point. So off the top of my head, reverse Pac-Man games, I believe the first one we saw was on Atari home computers. And then we didn't see anything in the arcades until we just saw Macho Mouse recently. All right, let's go with, it does have joystick, but when I plug in the Apple II joystick and play, the controls feel like it was designed for a right or a left-handed person. Because the normal way when you hold the joystick, it's not the correct way. So I'm going to go for keyboard this time. And you get to select the keys you want to use, which is a great touch. Every computer should have this. When you go for keyboard controls, let everyone pick what you want for up, down, left, and right. Oh gosh. I guess they couldn't do pig sounds, but we wouldn't want that either. So here we go. I am in. I actually look like a human person. As I make my way around the maze, I am leaving my trail of corn cobs, or whatever you want to call them. I've already picked up the first power pig pellet, and the pigs have turned into... Oh, they already turned back. And if I want to turn them back again, go, pick it up! So you have to know where the power pellets are, and it shows you whenever you begin the map. And whenever they go down, they turn into... What, is that bacon? It's hard to tell. The sound effects are honestly okay for the Apple II. They may have tried to go with no sound effects because it's already pretty grating on the ears. Look at that. Is that more bacon? Oh, there's something there. They have fruit to pick up, or... Oh, it's a corn on the cob. Okay. Definitely got the farm theme going. And the pigs here look more lovable. They look more like little piglets instead of wild boars that are going to tear you off with their tusks. You essentially get the idea. You're trying to complete the entire grid. There's another one we played that is far better than this for the reverse Pac-Man genre, if that is a genre, and that was Mouse Attack, where you're building pipes as if you're a plumber, and once you build all the pipes, then you move on to the next level. What dot am I missing? I think I've done them all, right? What do you need me to do to complete... Because, look, there's parts that are holes. Doing a great job dodging, though, that's for sure. Let's see, is it here? Oh, there it is. Wait, it's still not done. What all do you... Oh, they got me. And they tear away... Oh, okay, so whenever one pig takes you out, then it just breaks down... I already did that one, all right. Maybe that's what we're dropping, is little pellets of poo, because we're farting every time. This really isn't the worst sound. We've heard better farting sounds in video games that obviously weren't meant to be farting sounds. But you gotta do whatever you can. Yeah, terrible ear-grating sound effects. But for a reverse Pac-Man clone, it's actually okay. Gameplay-wise, keeping it simple. They're not doing anything particularly different or better or improving upon the genre. I'd even say because of the way you have to pick... Oh my gosh, I just went between them. Because you have to know exactly where to pick up the... Yeah, they got me. Wow, and it takes a whole bunch away from the seeds you drop down. But it's really difficult to tell whenever you finish the maze. Because there's parts that are holes, like right here. I'm not dropping any right here. And because of that confusion... I would say it's less than the best video game experience. So it has some faults. Pigpen has some holes, or maybe some playtesters should have done some more due diligence with that one. But of all the games you could play on the home computer, the Pac-Man craze is still there, and I could still see people wanting to play something like this. But for all the games you could play on the home computer, I'm still going to say 2.5 stars. Or maybe even, it's still around the average range. 3, maybe 2.5. It's hard to determine because the problems with the game aren't really that big a deal. Oh yeah, thanks for trying to help out. So yeah, I won't be too bad. Oh, Victor's going even 2. Wow. Yeah, I'll still say it's around the average range. 2.5 stars for Pigpen. If the sound bothers you that much in 1982, what did you do? You turned the volume down and you cranked the record up. So I won't fault it. Let's move on to our next game. Still on the Commodore VIC-20, this is Pinball Spectacular. Let's take a look at Pinball Spectaculars. This is the box. The classic VIC-20 box, published by Commodore. Pinball Spectacular, all the fun of pinball with the excitement of a computer space action game. Spectacular action, spectacular thrills, and spectacular fun for the whole family. Very nice. Classic front of the box. We also have, I think, some more artwork for it, right? Oh yeah, just the cartridge you would have played. Yeah, cartridge is the way to go on the VIC-20. Pop it and play, so much fun. Let's take a look at the inside sleeve. Here's the manual. How to load the game on your VIC-20, and adjusting your screen position is the use on the VIC-20, and then how to eliminate screen flutter. From the moment you turn on the game, you can see this is no ordinary pinball configuration. Pinball Spectacular is lying to you because there is no pinball. This is not pinball at all. I'll explain when we boot the game up. There's lots of space game action. In place of the usual flippers, you'll find 2 sliding paddles. The bottom paddle operates like any flipper, but the top paddle flips the ball from below as well as above. Starting at the top, you see 2 large multicolored walls. If you wipe out every block, you've uncovered an alien from outer space. Hit him and rack up points. Oh, that's a good point, yes. On the Apple II, you cannot turn it down because it's the internal speaker. Yeah, a good point. In between the 2 walls is Pinball Spectacular's haunting house. Hiding inside can be any number of ghosts. Guarding the entrance to the house is a spinning gate. The harder your ball pushes through the gate, the more points you make. Pinball Spectacular's greatest challenge comes from the lights scattered around the screen. First, the 5 lights at the bottom. Change all 5 lights from frowns to smiles gives you 1,000 points. The second set of lights are letter lights. They spell the word extra. When you change the letter to green, you earn a free ball. And then here's our scoring points. To launch the game, press the fire on the red button of each game paddle. This is paddle control only on the VIC-20. Very, very cool. And I believe when we talked about sound on internal speaker, we have seen lots of Apple II games that give you the option pushing S or a hotkey to turn off the sound, which I wonder if they did that because they realized the sound wasn't that good. Here on the VIC-20, it's not as bad as what we've heard on the Apple II, but the best right now is the Commodore Max machine or even the Pokey chip on the Atari home computer. That's where the sound's coming from, at least until the next computer with the SID chip shows up. That's where we're going to get the best sound. All right, so other versions, this is all on cartridge. We're going to be in either in NTSC regions or PAL regions. We're in North America playing Pinball Spectacular, developed by HAL Laboratory, published by Commodore at the beginning of July 1982. That's right, the HAL Laboratory, the one you're thinking of, that's who did this game. And this one is so cool to control. Push the serve button on the paddle control. There's our scores for blocks, spinners, the lucky zone, ghosts, and monsters. We get bonus advance at the time you erase the rows of blocks on the color in the side, and the advance to triple bonus in the faces of the smile add after you miss the ball, and you can get extra balls, doing all kinds of stuff. It's got some great things in here. And also a lifesaver will appear on the blocks when you clear one side. All right, let's go. Clicking our paddle control now. Oh, that's right. We have to actually go F1. And this one is a 2-player game, but it's not simultaneous. It's alternate play. Let's hit F1 and go. I'll give you a few moments to guess the game. We've already seen this in the arcade. And you can tell it's obviously not pinball. We're playing a Breakout clone, but a really good one. A pinball / Breakout clone. It was first of its kind in the arcades by Namco, and they didn't say anything about this game anywhere on the box or in the manual, so I'm wondering if Namco didn't know about this, and there was some legality going on. Oh, and we're down. Hey, welcome, Casey Club Kirby. That's right. How did you know we're going to play something from HAL Laboratory? And if memory corrects, I can't remember if you were on the show when we played this in the arcade. So this was originally done by Namco. It's a game called QDQ. The very first time we ever saw pinball and Breakout at this exact same time. And this is the very first time you could play the exact one at home. I mean, like down to everything you see on the screen, the ghost at the top. It's exactly like QDQ. And there's no reference of Namco or QDQ anywhere. But great job choosing paddles for the control. It feels really good. This is very, very fun, especially for 1982. And yeah, the reason I'm losing is because I'm making the mistake. Look how smooth the paddle controls are. And you got dual ones to crack up higher and higher score. The only thing that would make this even cooler is if they had 2 players to play at the same time, like cooperatively. If you do the 2-player mode, it's alternate play. But it feels so good. And fun fact, all the games we've seen so far by HAL Laboratory have been done first on the Commodore VIC-20. So they were putting all their eggs in this computer's basket. But they're also going to be the first ones developing for the Commodore Max machine, which eventually will end up being the Commodore 64. Yes, that's right. Well, maybe you saw it also on the show too. I'm going again. This plays so well. It's a blast to play, the double paddles, and it's I would say one of the best ways to play Breakout at the time. If you already were tired of Breakout or Super Breakout, and we've seen lots of variants of those, even on just the Commodore VIC-20, but on home computers in general, this one makes you feel like it's Breakout and pinball. Having objectives to hit on the screen, not just breaking blocks. It's more than that. And you want to see what's going to happen next. Like after I clear all the blocks away, what's going to happen whenever we do the smiley faces? And they didn't explain that in the manual, but you want to be able to see it yourself. Oh, there it is. Another monster shows up, so you get to now take out the monster on the side. Look at that. Another one. We're just getting very, very lucky here. Yes! I went back and played QDQ to see any of the differences. The only difference is the slightly lower resolution. Well, not really slightly, but lower resolution than what you would have played in the arcade. But everything here is excellent. They even have letters where you'll be able to spell out Commodore eventually. Oh, there we go. All right, go and throw out some ratings now. Of all the games you could play on a home computer, of all the Breakout variants you could play, what would you give this game? Even though it's called Pinball Spectacular, it is not pinball. And I'm wondering if it didn't sell well, or maybe they were hiding from Namco and they didn't want to say QDQ or anything close to that. They couldn't call it Breakout. Well, I guess they could. Yeah, in the arcades, we saw this in 1979. That's how far we've come. This is the very first time we've seen this exact ripoff of QDQ, but it's been that long. So much fun. All right, so Pinball Spectacular, here's what it's got going for it. It has the paddle controls. The gameplay is excellent. Of all the games we played that have a Breakout variant, this is one of the most fresh takes you could have at home. We've already seen this in a few other ways you could play in the arcades, and we've seen some home versions mix up stuff, but not the way this does. If you love pinball and you love Breakout, this would be your dream to play. It's great. Yeah, I'm going to go and say this is one of the best computer games you could play at the time, and it's almost like a hidden gem because you don't know you're playing QDQ. HAL Laboratory snuck something in there. Hopefully they didn't get sued by Namco. I'm not sure. But I'm going to say 4.5 stars for Pinball Spectacular. Or it's sometimes referred to, look at the cartridge. It's referred to as just Pinball. Even more obscure. Most people probably didn't know about it. So there you go, 4.5 stars for Pinball Spectacular. Let's press forward and see our next game. We're still going to hang out on the Commodore VIC-20, and this is the release of Pit. Just Pit. Here's the box for Pit. Very simple. It's for the VIC pack, made by Cavan or Cavan. I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly. And that's all the artwork we have for Pit. Another difficult one to find because of such a simple title. Let's pop it and play Pit, published by Audiogenic at the beginning of July 1982. Now, Pit is another game we've already seen before, and this is another title that I thought the first game to come out for this kind of game was Money Wars. But it's not. We've already seen this game before called Wallet Walker. So if you're one of the sticklers like I am of looking at what was before or what we've seen, check the links down below of all the games we played up to this point, and check out Wallet Walker. That was the very first one we've ever seen that plays like this. We can use keyboard or joystick. I'm going to go ahead and push, what is that? Hit semicolon? Okay. To start the game. Let's hit semicolon. The gameplay is very, very simple. At first, you think you're playing Avalanche because, you know, the same rocks are falling from the top. But all you got to do is walk from left to right, pick up some money, carry it to the other side, and there's your points. Here, a nice little ditty for your triumph. So it's a really, really simple idea. Wallet Walker was the first one we've seen. Here's the second example, Pit. I thought Money Wars on Commodore 64 was the first kind of game like this, but no. We've already seen 2 examples, and we're going to see more Wallet Walker variants. With a name like Pit, no one would have. I mean, it's not even really a pit. We're dodging hail. They should have called it something like Raining on You or Rain on Me. Oh man, this does not look good. Really, really simple idea. Every time you pick up the money, it redraws or creates the protection from the hail. So you have to time yourself to go across. But it's really, really simple gameplay. I'm almost hard-pressed to say it's pretty average for the time. It is doing something where you're not shooting something. It's not based on anything in the arcade. And it's similar to the look of Avalanche, but I'm going way too slow. Notice how we don't have any barriers. It drew some in there for us, but now we got to get all the way to the other side, past this deluge of hail. Nice and easy. There we go. And we're down. Oh, we died in a bloody explosion. Nice. And they give us a little ditty when we die. That's true. This would be what it is. So of all the games you could play at this time, Pit, again, I would say around average for everything you would want to play. It's a dodge game, but it's a very simple affair. Whenever we gave the original one, it was the Wallet Walker. I said 3 stars because it was around average, and we hadn't seen anything like this exactly, but it is still pretty simple. And it is fun. I would say even slightly addictive of trying to go back and forth. But so I'll say 3 stars. It's not a bad title, but it's around pretty average for what you see for the time. And this whole new thing, or genre, if you want to call it that, is still fresh. Man, so many things to go and see. Let's see where we're going now. We're going to the United Kingdom to play on our BBC Micro, and this is Poker Dice. Poker Dice is a game that doesn't sound like anything you've played before. It is essentially Yahtzee. So on the front of the box, you just see it's dice poker. I'd be hard pressed to say in the United Kingdom, do they call poker dice? Is that pretty much their Yahtzee? And all we have is the screenshot, and that's it. Very, very simple. Let's pop it in play, or slide it in play. Poker Dice by Jeff Smith, published by Micropower in the beginning of July 1982. So this one is technically a board game, or technically not a casino game. Man, it looks so crisp on the BBC Micro. One of the highest resolutions. This and IBM is up there with what you could play on a home computer. Press escape at any time before the game starts, or H when the game's in progress if you want to reread the instructions. The instructions, like most of the stuff we see on the home computer in the United Kingdom, is tons. There's tons and tons of text. So I'm going to go past the overview. Spacebar, there's the categories. 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, full house, straight, poker dice. In the game after 13 rounds, each player's score will be tallied. Press escape when you want to restart. Enter the number of players. You can play up to 6 players on this one. I'm going to play with just 2, and it rolls the dice. Player 1's going, and you can pick the ones you want to rethrow. What's my controls to go? Do I move across? What's my... Pick the new... Oh, I see. You just say yes or no. So you don't have to, there's no cursor. You're just saying, do you want to re-roll? I want to say no. No. Let's not do that one. Let's re-roll this one. No, yes, no. Very easy. So you just say which ones you want to roll or re-roll. And then do I want to re-roll that one? No. I want to do yes on that one. No, yes, and no. Let's see if we can go for all 6s. Darn. Okay, so we can only do 4 of a kind. So now you pick your category, which would be B. There we go. We get our points in for B. If it looks like Yahtzee, it's because it is. Poker Dice essentially is that. Yes. Poker Dice is Yahtzee. All right, we didn't get to pick player names, but we'll go ahead and do spacebar. Player 2's now up. They do their turn. So this would work really well. An easy way to play Yahtzee. We've seen other ways on the home computer that didn't work so well with the interface, but just having you say, yes, you want to re-roll and throw, very simple. It works great. And it could be 6 people if you want. So there you go. A quaint version of Yahtzee, but works really well. I'd say of all the games you could play on a home computer, Poker Dice is all right. That one is pretty fun for, especially if you have a party game on your BBC Micro. I don't think we've played any game past 2 players on the BBC Micro, and a 6-player game. This would be the hit of the summer of 1982 if you had a BBC Micro. If you pulled out all the quid, man, because this is really expensive. At least the Model B version is. So for poker dice, I'd say let me think of the fun factor. Yeah, it's done well enough. So I'll say 3 stars. If you want to twist my leg in the chat with the rating, because you could say it would be more fun or an above average title, but essentially it is still just Yahtzee or a board game. Yeah, I already saw how many Yahtzees were out there. Yeah, I'll keep it pretty standard. I'll say 3 stars of all the games you could play. Very average for the time. For everything you can play on the home computer. All right, and with that, let's see our next game. Here we go on the Apple II. This is Prisoner 2. Prisoner 2 is the sequel to Prisoner. We've already seen this one. It's based on the TV show. Let's take a look at the box for Prisoner 2, the sequel you've all been waiting for. This is by David Mullich. Way to go, David. The science fiction nightmare. That is an awesome front of the box. It is someone punching through the screen. A different Apple II keyboard? Looks like it was Apple IIe Plus, I believe. And you can see Interactive Fantasies is there, but it's actually not published by them. Let's flip it over on the back. Alarmed? Worried that your computer might be attempting to coerce you? Well, that's a little... What's a little coercion among friends? It's an incoming resident of the island. You are expected to behave. You have something we want, information, and you will remain our guest until we obtain it. Of course, that moment we will have lost. You will have lost. Do not delude yourself. Escape is hardly possible. The island keeps you under constant surveillance. We expect you'll never find the bars. As caretaker for the master, I have taken every precaution to ensure that your stay is interesting. The island has been newly landscaped and the village sports a coat of high-resolution paint in 32 tantalizing flavors. Each of our 20 buildings promises captivating experiences within the castle's twisting corridors, in the carnival's maddening harmonia of sounds that will test your sanity. At Grail Hall, residents participate in certain popular adventure games, which now needs. Those who seek confession can always find relief at the neighborhood church. That's right, it's a little more intense game and a little bit more mental. You need to prepare yourself mentally. You can see how they're showing you the different rooms in the game. This is a game based on the TV show, so if you were familiar with it, it takes inspiration from that, but this goes beyond that because it has lots of different rooms or puzzles that you need to make your way out of before you go crazy or insane. Very cool. Let's take a look at the other artwork for Prisoner 2. Besides the box, here's the ad you would have seen at the time. Welcome to your breaking point. With a 5 1/4 floppy disk. This is the Apple version of the Prisoner 2. We're also going to see this later on the Atari home computer, and then next year it's going to be available on MS-DOS. All right. Oh, it was, really? All right, so let's go to the manual for Prisoner 2. I'll tell you, this manual is very, very lengthy. It's got a lot of lore because it's based on the TV show. A wolf in the fold. The conspiracy behind the microcomputer revolution. Nice touch. This is made by Eduware Services. David Mullet, and there's a lot of people involved. Mike St. Jean and Wendy Peterson, Jim Wooten, playtester, nice. And then we got Sherwin A. Steffen as well. So we've seen lore on console games, and they get a little lengthy, but it's nothing compared to what we've seen for computers. Computers go all out with the story behind the scenes and wanting you to get involved and play these games much longer than what we see on the arcade and the console. And this is no exception. This story goes through kind of a backstory of what the TV show's about, but then goes even beyond that. And instead of explaining how the game works or how you play it on your computer, it tries to make it part of the story. So it starts with this section, Deus Ex Machina, the computer age is upon us, or is that old news to you? And then they talk about the backstory. Then they have the journal about how you came to the island and what the island is, and your journal of while you've been here and what's happened on the island. So much information that you would be diving into playing a deeper game. And then they have the historical perspective of behind the scenes of what happened before the TV show started. My first version of The Prisoner was written with these issues in mind, and it seemed appropriate to give my report on the island in the form of a computer simulation. So they're making the computer game part of the story. Very nice touch. And it shows the prisoner's dilemma. We got to get out of here. We need to find our way off the island. And then plays the thing. This tells you how the game works on the Apple II. Since this account of the island is in the form of a computer simulation, it was necessary to make some concessions for the sake of playability. The only means of communicating with your computer is through the keyboard. An inverse cursor always indicates the computer is waiting for you to type something. It may desire only a single keystroke response or several keystrokes followed by return. However, not every input has a prompt. If the computer appears to stop or hang, it is probably just waiting for you to type something. If you become impatient, take the initiative and try nudging your keyboard. I have no idea what that means. You'll quickly find that certain keys have special functions at one point in the program, may not behave in the same way as another. Consistency is not one of the attributes of the island. Be open to change and do not allow yourself to be locked in a mindset. When in doubt, type something, anything. The information the island is trying to obtain from you has been distilled down in the form of 3-digit resignation code. This number is given to you at the start of each new mission. Memorize it or write it down for safekeeping. And this is also slightly copy protection too. So every decision scored. It's like most adventure games. This is simultaneously a remake of the first Prisoner that we played. So if you wanted to check the links down below, the first Prisoner was mostly text-based or graphic characters. This one is a full-on graphic adventure with several puzzle elements in it. And then they also explain how to save the game, but that's not all. The manual also has keys to escape and tips and tricks, because what you're going to go through in this is random rooms or places that you need to get out of, and you have to figure out the puzzle to move out of there. And then it has down here references for some reason, like it is a real journal. All right, it's time to pop in and play Prisoner 2 by Edgeware Services, published by Interactive Fantasies in the beginning of July 1982. It reminds me of the game we played where you're in an insane asylum and it was all adventure or text, but it manipulates and changes things that you type on the keyboard. Like, it makes you feel like you might be going crazy. But we already feel that way playing text adventure games. Sometimes the text parser doesn't understand us, so we don't really have to make us go insane, computer game. Oh, it's not the most cryptic. It's up there, though, with one of the most. It does help to read it all the way through. You have to be really involved with the television show and familiar with the source material to get into Prisoner 2. It's kind of rare to see that, too. A television-based video game. So here we go, Prisoner 2. Yeah, this top secret filing cabinet that opens up. Nice animation touch there. All right, the code is as follows. Machine score review below. And making this look like we're logging into a top secret code. Resignation is 583. At least I saw that at the bottom. Below is the resignation code is computer encryption of your reasons for leaving the company. Write it down, commit it to memory, but under no circumstances reveal it to anybody if you value your freedom. So there you go, 583. Commit it to memory. Pushing spacebar now. Now, this is kind of cool. We're at the airport, and it's going to say, where do you want your destination to go? I'm going to type in and tell you what I'm going to type in. We're going to go to Tokyo, so I'm going to type in Tokyo. It changes the type to the island, and you have no say. So it doesn't matter what you type in. You can't depart where you want to. You're going to go to the island. And we get abducted. It begins now. Anybody here on the chat or the live show that actually saw the TV show? Okay, here's our first puzzle. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one. You have to remind me of that one. All right, so our first puzzle is a 3D maze. And we saw this in the first Prisoner as well. You can move forward, back, left, and right, but you cannot turn yourself around. And we are represented by the key on the right side. That symbol is where we are, and we got to get to the exit, which is on the far right. So if I move myself to the right, you can see I'm sliding over. So I'm not turning, and it makes the maze even more difficult to navigate. So now I can't go any further right. I can go forward, though. So I push F to go forward, and you got to make your way through the maze like this. Very, very difficult. Looks like we got 2 openings on the right. We're going to keep moving forward, and we can see where we are on the key on the right side. Let's move forward, and let's slide to the right here. This is the first of several puzzles, or several examples of puzzles that you'll experience on the island as the prisoner. All right, so we're going to keep going to the right, and I can't turn around, so now to go down this hallway, I got to go back. So we're sliding backwards, and we're only facing one direction. They're making the 3D maze even more difficult than most of the ones we've seen here on the channel. The 3D maze is kind of an interesting genre that I wasn't familiar with. It's essentially maze games like Pac-Man, but instead of the top-down, you're seeing it from a first-person perspective. And we're going back again. Just sliding back down the hall. I don't know when I can turn right yet. Still sliding down. Drawing in every single time. They're making the first room a very big puzzle. And in playtest of this, whenever I would start up, it would give me a different code. But even though I had different codes, I always started in this room, but in different places. So it randomizes this place, but you're not going to get a different room when you play. Still going back. This is a really long hallway. Still going. All right, I think we've reached the end of a T intersection. Let's see. Okay, so can't go there. Let's try going to the right. That's it. Sliding across the wall. Still going. Okay, maybe this is the exit. Go forward. It's turning to the left. Okay, slide to the left. Looks like it's working. Can we go forward now? Excellent, yes. Okay, going forward. I haven't done this maze variant yet. Making our way to the front. So in a way, this is essentially a game style or gameplay we've already seen on the channel, but this is one example of the puzzles in A Prisoner 2. And there's a lot more graphics happening than what we saw on the first one. All right, so let's head to the right. Let's see if we can slip our way down. Right, and can we go back now? Oh, yes. I'm sliding back. Go. Okay, we did it, and go to the right. But here's the thing. Hidden within this maze should have been a key. I never saw the key, which I think when we leave, this means it's going to kill us. Because we didn't discover the key. So let's see what happens when we leave. It's going to show, okay, they're drawing in the island now. Yes, okay, it hasn't been emulated. Okay, let me know if you find it and send it to me later. Good morning. And who are you? So you have to remember your designation code. We can input... So wait, do we input number 4 or do we input 583? Does it work? 5? Wait, typing won't work right now. Oh, no, 5 won't work. It's only 1 through 4. So we'll do input 4 or designation code 583. Yeah, very, very long and windy, but we've seen even more difficult maze games, but that was the entire game. It was just a 3D maze. This is more than that. It's several different rooms with different types of puzzles. And they're putting in the code to process us. We're essentially going to show up with... Yeah, we're essentially now going to be locked in place as the prisoner, and they're going to give us a new room to go in. Welcome back. You may have lost, but we have gained. Oh gosh. Be seeing you. What? Is it a bunch of sheep? Oh man, if you're confused, don't worry, I'm confused too. That is just a quick taste of The Prisoner 2, a different kind of graphic adventure game than the other ones we've seen up to this point. I would say it's above average, but it is slightly slower paced, so I can't really say it's added any quality of life improvements to the adventure genre, but it's still an above average title for all the other games you could play on a home computer. Nicely done. Prisoner 2. Yeah, send it to me. Thanks so much. It's time to put our video game playing on pause. Hit the break key, hit spacebar. If you could go back to 1982, how would you rate these games on our 5-star rating scale? Tune in next episode for the latest arcade release by Gottlieb, and for the first time in Europe, one of the best video games you could play on a home console. That's it for today, and like I always say, I'll see you in the arcade. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are Perpetually Retro, and we will